Two Bulls in a China Shop is brought to you in part by our sponsors and friends over at Manscaped, Trade Pro Academy, and Vanta Trading. Manscaped is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming with precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, and with a new and improved 2.0 version of the Weed Whacker now available, it's the perfect time to take advantage of our exclusive offer of 20% off and free worldwide shipping using promo code 2bulls at manscaped.com. As always, that is the number 2. And when it comes to institutional quality trading education, look no further than tradeproacademy.com. In our free Discord server, you'll find instructions to take advantage of our discount with them as well. And for anyone trading futures, check out vantatrading.com. Founded by Mr. W. Banks and Baba Yaga, they provide a ton of educational content with the focus of teaching aspiring traders how to build a repeatable, profitable process. Our exclusive discount code for Vanta can also be found in our free Discord server. We'll have all of those links and more in the episode description. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's conversation.
You are listening to an entertainment program put together by a company called Financial Ineptitude. Anything said on this show is not an endorsement or professional advice. Would you really want to tell a court of law you were suing us because you thought taking financial advice from two idiots on a podcast put out by Financial Ineptitude was a good idea? Really? Clown hat smiley face.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the China Shop. Joining me today is the philanthropic and fastidious Phil Muscatello, host of Shares, Stocks, and ETFs for Beginners, and self-appointed 5th most popular podcast guest on Two Bulls history. And that's 3 separate podcasts, by the way. If you'd like to learn more about Phil, make sure you check out his website at sharesforbeginners.com, or you just load up one of those 3 podcasts I mentioned. We'll have links for all that in the episode description. And if you want to reach out with any suggestions, corrections, or questions for future guests, you can do that via email at 2bulls@financialineptitude.com or join our free Discord server, where a bunch of amazing people gather to share our struggles and lessons learned with other like-minded market aficionados. As I said, we'll have all those links in the episode description, so you can peruse them at your convenience. And now, without any further ado, let's check in with Phil. How you doing today, bud?
Always good. As I like to say, I'm going downhill one ski, no poles. Situation normal.
Is there a lot of skiing in Australia?
There is, yeah, but only in one particular part. There, we've got these mountains down the south that people go to. But a lot of people go to New Zealand because the skiing apparently is awesome there. I don't ski.
I never thought of New Zealand as being a touristy spot either. I thought there was way more sheep there than anything else.
Oh, no, it's an incredible place to go to.
Really?
Yeah. It's a beautiful, absolutely beautiful country with glaciers and kind of Swiss-style mountain lodges and things like that. And no, it's wonderful.
Australia has always been on my wish list of places I want to go visit. I wanted to live there at one point, but you get married and somebody has kids in the U.S. and suddenly you can't just leave the States anymore.
Yeah, get stuck there. But please come to Sydney and I'll show you the real Sydney.
Oh, really?
You'll get the tourist stuff, but I can show you the real stuff as well, which is...
I don't know if I can hang with Australians anymore. I think maybe 10 years ago I might have been a lot better suited.
Oh, don't worry. We don't drink as much as you think.
No, okay. Fair
we just like to create that impression.
What'd you do last night?
Well, no, I didn't drink that much. I did trivia at the Bald Rock Hotel.
I love trivia.
Yeah. Well, we've been going. There's a group of us have been going for well over 10 years now, and
has everything kind of gotten back to normal for you guys after COVID?
Oh, I think it was pretty normal most of the time. I know everyone in America's got this idea that we were like a prison here in Australia, but let me tell you, here in Sydney, there was lockdowns and so forth, but there was always ways around it. I mean, that local pub that I was at last night had they did takeaways. And there was a park nearby the pub. And during the lockdown, we were just going and getting takeaway beers, hanging in the park, overlooking the harbour and drinking. And some wag said, we were right when we were 15 years old. Drinking outdoors is the way to do it.
I know, right? Much better ambiance. I bet that was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great fun. It was absolutely great fun. So, yeah. Don't worry about us down here, down under.
Yeah. Okay. So what else have you been up to since we last checked? I think we looked it up before we started. You said it was August of 22? So
that's the last time we spoke. Yeah. So most probably people wouldn't remember, but a lot of what I've been doing is laying back in a warm and comfortable 2-bull bathtub, soaking in the vibe. So I'd have something to talk about to you with you, Kyle.
I'm a shower guy personally. I do like a good bath every now and then, though.
Yeah, yeah. No, well, one of the things that happened was, of course, we were interacting on Twitter and having great fun on Twitter. And I had one of my recent posts go viral. Well, as viral as any of my posts have ever gone. I think I got 5,000 views.
Oh,
and
wow! It did that well?
Yeah, because I love history, and I was following this medievalist, and she posts significant saints' days, from ancient Anglo-Saxon saints. And she said she did the St. Dunstan, one of the great saints of Anglo-Saxon England, who died in 988, a multi-talented archbishop, statesman, musician, metalworker, and devil fighter. And so I just retweeted and said, I wish this was on my LinkedIn bio.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I couldn't help myself. I thought you were just talking about the wording. So you know what I did is I looked up your LinkedIn profile. I
Thank you very much. Yeah.
I put it into Chat GPT and I just said, make this sound medieval. That's all I did.
And then you did the one about you guys being gunslingers.
Yeah, that one was, I actually I was tempted to switch mine over for that, maybe just for the month, see how it goes.
See if you get any more engagement.
But how impressive is ChatGPT?
It is impressive. I've been doing, actually, I shouldn't have announced it here live, but I've been using it quite a bit for writing blog posts. It's not so much for letting it write for you, but just giving you some bulk to work on, to edit.
Yes.
Yeah. And put it in your own voice.
I think that's how it works the best, is when you have like your version, you stick it in and say, make this look better. It just spits out a polished version with footnotes and
or if you just want to need some headlines or some quick bullet points, things like that, it's great for doing it. But it's definitely not my kind of language. It's not the language that I would normally use.
No, you don't use a lot of verilies and
it does, but it's always like, it'll start a sentence. On the other hand,
right.
You got to get rid of all of that interstitial shit.
Well, I mean, who knew ChatGPT didn't want to be so what's the word?
Using the passive voice,
is
us linguists.
Thank you. That's it. Yes, you're not supposed to do that when you're writing blog posts.
That's right. But I just wanted to get back to that Twitter thread that went viral. As a piece of social media marketing, it was absolutely, totally useless, because you think, I got plenty of retweets and likes and everything. Mm-hmm. But I don't think there's a Venn diagram that actually shows any overlap between the FinTwit community, financial Twitter, and the medievalist Twitter community, because the people that were retweeting and liking it were librarians, historians, and medievalists.
Right.
So, yeah, that's the kind of search.
See, but that's how I do
social media marketing.
That's how I do mine too, though. I mean, I don't know. I can't get behind I can't do anything that I genuinely don't find interesting or funny. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, I have to stay kind of true to myself to not feel slimy when I'm posting on Twitter.
Mm. I think it's someone described Twitter to me. It's like LinkedIn is the conference and Twitter is the bar afterwards.
Oh,
once you accept that.
Yeah, it seems reasonable. So what's FinTwit in that equation then?
FinTwit is just a wonderful, lovely, supportive, humorous. I mean, I get so many laughs out of FinTwit. John W. Rich, Greg. Do you know Greg? Oh, you got to follow Greg, one of the highlights of Twitter, FinTwit.
I stay off of that one. I thought I've heard it was as bad as Wall Street Bets.
No, you've just got
Reddit area.
It's about curating your feed, basically. Yeah.
What was the name?
Greg.
Just Greg. Okay, you just got to follow Greg on FinTwit.
He's famous now. Yeah, that's right.
I love it.
Hang on a sec. Let me just see if I can find his handle. And Elon follows him now as well. They've become.
Has Elon completely lost his mind?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think.
Did you see his?
No, Greg is. Hang on, Greg. This is his profile. I'm Greg. I like football and stocks and my birthday. I'm from Kentucky. I'm an investor. I like to golf at the golf course.
Oh God, I love Greg. Yes, I want more Greg.
Yeah. Do you think Elon's losing it? I don't mind. I'm enjoying the whole journey, I've got to say.
Well, I mean, when he went all The last thing I saw him on the headlines for was claiming that remote work was immoral.
Mm,
And I
mm.
feel like that argument is such a stretch.
There's so
And when
many
it's
things that he
coming,
says. I know. Sorry, go on, go on.
yeah. But when he's coming at it from the point of view as somebody who owns a large EV company that's
Mm.
trying to convince people to not stay home and drive to work,
Yeah.
like that, just there's something that seems a little off about that.
Yeah. Oh no, there's plenty of things, and the way he manipulates the share price as well, all of that.
Yeah, yeah.
But then on the other hand, I mean, he's a mad genius. Let's face it.
But is he though, or is it just like what was the show? Have you watched that station or Avenue 5 on HBO Max?
No, no, that HBO Max comes on a cable network here in Australia, which I don't pay for.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like the main like business CEO or guy who owns the whole spaceship and that whole show
Mm, mm.
is just a complete and utter moron. But he tells people to do things and thinks he's smart because he tells people to do it and they go do it. I feel
Yeah.
like Elon is some of the same of that.
What's the name of the show?
Avenue 5, I think it is. It's got Hugh
Avenue
Laurie in
5.
it. It's actually a pretty good show. Only
Oh,
had a
Hugh
couple
Laurie, he's
seasons
great.
though.
Yeah. Hugh Laurie, who everyone thinks is American until he opens his mouth and they realize he's English.
Oh well, that's because they didn't watch Stephen Fry.
That's right, a little bit of
Bit of
Fry
Fry
and
and
Laurie.
Laurie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you seem to
yeah.
like a lot of the English comedy. I've heard you mention
Oh
some other
yeah.
things, and QI you mentioned as well.
I
You enjoying
freaking
that
love
show?
QI.
Mm-hmm.
Taskmaster with
Mm-hmm.
Greg Davies and
Mm-hmm.
little Alex Horn.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, what was the other? Oh, Would I Lie to You? I've been getting into that one recently too with David
Would I
Mitchell
lie
on.
to you? That's amazing. That's such a great show, and
Isn't it?
it's one of my favorites. And the interesting thing is, I heard a podcast interview with Paul McCartney, who mentioned that that's his favorite show, and he thinks Lee Mack is a genius. And then on the
I
same podcast, they had Lee Mack on as well, talking about how it felt to be discussed that way by Paul McCartney.
What did Lee say?
Um, he found it strange. I mean, you know what he's like. On this podcast, he was actually a lot more serious than you'd expect him to be.
Really?
He's a very spiritual guy. He's a Buddhist, very highly educated. But he was just talking about how he can't understand how anyone else is not getting the jokes around him or not creating the jokes. His mind is working so fast
Mm-hmm.
that it's like he's going at, relativistic speed against
Right.
everyone else.
I've felt like that occasionally. I've made a few jokes that don't land because they're just a little bit too, little too in the weeds.
That's right. Oh, don't we all?
I know.
But you got to try a joke, don't you?
I, I mean, if it makes me laugh, that's the
Mm.
only thing I ever care about. In fact, I actually love it when a joke misses completely and you have that awkward moment of like looking at someone waiting for their reaction. They don't get it. I don't know. There's something that I kind of like about that.
Yeah. Well, I get that with my wife all the time. You know,
Oh, I do it to her
she's
too.
heard that
Yep.
one. Yeah. Although a couple of
Yes.
weeks ago, I told a joke and she laughed so much at it. And why haven't you ever told me that one before? And, I'd forgotten I knew it.
How long you been married?
We got married in 2009, 14 years.
Oh, dang.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we got married
I think
in
we just
Italy.
hit 10 this year.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm.
Neither of us even know when our anniversary is. I think one of our kids texts us every now and then to let us know.
Incurable romantics, obviously.
Right? I've
Yeah.
just never been big on dates.
Oh, that's weird.
Plus, like, it's lucky for me that we get along so well because, we both work from home now. So we see each other constantly.
Same here, basically. Yeah, we both work from home.
Did I tell you I was in the military?
You did, yeah. No, and because this is when I wanted, getting to the military theme, I wanted to talk
Oh,
about Eric Smolinski, and I was going to ask you about your military.
before we do that, real quick, I just wanted to say something about relationships in the military.
Okay, yep. Okay, so
Uh,
yeah, relationships in the military.
Yeah, so because you're constantly going on deployment a lot, the divorce rate when people get out of the military actually skyrockets because you're not used to like being around the person that you've married for the last 20 years, like constantly.
Yeah. Oh, well, I could well imagine.
Like you almost have to completely learn how to live together again.
Well, that's part of the theme of that American Sniper book and movie, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know that I've seen that. Is that
Oh,
any
haven't
good?
you? Yeah, well, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right, I've seen it pop up, but I just never picked it up. Anyway, sorry, what
Yeah.
were you saying about Eric?
Yeah, Eric Smolinski. It just comes
Yes.
because he's been a guest on my podcast, and I listened to an episode with Eric on yours, and what a guy! Isn't he a great,
Mm-hmm.
fun guy? Sort of humble. I mean, he goes and buys McLarens, not Lambos, apparently.
He does, but I mean, I don't know. He's doing it the way he's not doing it in a flashy way, which is
Mm,
kind of
mm.
cool to see. Like he's just enjoying the fruits of his labors, and that's kind of the name of the game, right?
Yeah, that's right. But he's enjoying the fruits of his labor, and he's trying to teach it and talk about it. And he's
Mm-hmm.
talking about trading, but he doesn't ignore the fact that the best investing strategy for the majority of people is to get dollar cost average over a long period of time in a low
Yes.
cost ETF. He doesn't really ignore that side of things, which a lot of traders seem to be, or people who are selling trading systems
Oh, yes.
seem to be overlooking.
Yeah, they talk about how quickly you can make thousands of dollars with no money down, and
Mm,
how you're going
mm.
to be, dump trucks of cash will be backing up to your house, and all you
Yeah.
have to do is work for 5 minutes every 3 days, and you'll be
Hmm.
set for life. Yeah, no,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's very honest about like what actually goes into what he does and what you have to do in order to be able to mimic it. And it's refreshing to hear somebody take that kind of honest approach, right?
Hmm. That's right. And it's also about that military discipline. I mean, he's a Marine, or he's an
Hmm.
ex-Marine. And
Yeah,
you think about the kind of training that those guys go through and the discipline they have and that they bring into their lives as well. And I don't know about you, it makes me feel like an underachiever.
well, it makes it even worse for me because I was in the Navy, which is
Mm, mm.
not the, I guess they call, because we always joke with the Marines and say that they're a branch of the Navy, and they say they're the men's department, and that's actually pretty true. If you look at you combine his experience to my experience, like
Hmm.
that discipline and all the other stuff that he talks about, like yeah, I went the Navy route and submarines specifically, so that wouldn't be as much of an issue because
Hmm.
things are a lot more lax when you're just locked up underwater for 3 months.
Yeah. But how do you find? I mean, you obviously you're getting him on as a regular these days,
Yeah, we
and you're
do that
enjoying
Wednesday show.
talking. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, the Wednesday show. He's great, isn't he? And it's not like that discipline is
Hmm.
really what traders need, isn't it? It's not.
Yeah,
It's not something that you can. He was talking about flexibility, wasn't it, or adaptability?
adaptability.
And
Yes,
yeah, when you're trading, you come up with this idea, you work out this analysis that you think, and you've back tested it, and it's going to work, and it might work. I think you were talking about it might work for 3 months or something, then suddenly it stops
suddenly
working, and you
something
don't know.
changes. Yep.
Yeah, something changes, and it's about the adaptability. It's about approaching it like a military operation. It's about cutting your losses, which is something I want to talk about. Cut your losses, cut your losses, cut your losses. The market's going to be open here in about half an hour, and I need to cut some losses today already.
Oh
And
no.
yeah, well, but
Well,
having
you
that
should.
discipline, yeah.
I was gonna say you should feel really special that Eric agreed to do your show because he is extremely selective about the people that he collaborates with.
Oh, really? Oh, that's nice to hear.
Yes,
But we got on
he
very
says
well.
no to a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah. I think maybe he's got some warm and moist feelings towards Australia, having spent time in Australia on some military operations as well.
Oh, when did you talk to him? I think I missed that episode.
It was a while ago now. Did you want to find out when I spoke to him?
Well, because I want to go listen to it since we're done.
Well, it's on Stocks for Beginners.
Stocks for beginners. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
and
link that one in the episode description. People like Eric around here too.
yeah, he's a great guy. I love his attitude. We would have done it around about February.
Yeah, what did you guys talk about?
We talked about discipline, trading.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'll have to think about that again. You know what it's like. You talk to so many people.
I know.
What did you talk about? Oh, we talked about stocks. I like stocks.
Do you? How often do you find yourself when you're like just finished editing an episode and you got to write the
Mm,
episode description, trying to remember
mm.
what the fuck you just talked about?
Oh, no, well, I always get an output a transcript, so I'm working from the transcript all the time. Yeah.
Oh, I quit doing that. I should probably go back to that. That might make it a lot easier.
Yeah, it does. And I think Zencaster, which we're on now, will spit out a
It
transcript for you
does. It
automatically.
does.
Yeah.
Although I think I'd canceled that subscription because we weren't using it anymore.
Oh, right. Oh, you're not recording an MP3, not WAV format, are you?
This should be in WAV. We might have switched to
Yeah.
MP3 just to make it easier. I don't remember.
Just teasing. Just teasing.
Yeah, that's right. You are an audiophile, aren't you?
Well, I'm an audio engineer. I still do audio recordings as my, I'm not sure if it's a side hustle, main hustle, or what at the moment,
Right.
But straight after this interview, I've got to edit some, I've recorded some messages in some Indigenous Aboriginal languages from Western Australia, which is an interesting
really?
project. Yeah.
Okay, I know this is supposed to be a trading stock market podcast, but I want to know more about that.
Really? Do you want to hear
Yeah,
it?
I do. Yeah. What's is this like a documentation thing, like trying to make sure that you capture these sounds before it's gone, or?
No. These are government messages that are going to remote communities. They're often health messages sponsored by the WA government or the federal government. This particular one's about hearing, going to get hearing checked. I kind of fell into this space about 30 years ago where I record voiceovers in many languages. So like this week, for example, I've been recording Qantas in-flight messages in about 8 languages. When you get on the plane and you get that safety video and you
Mind
can
the
listen to
gap
it
and
yeah.
how the seatbelts work.
This is where the exits are and all of that.
Yeah.
And I've been recording that in languages, and then it's also morphed into doing Australian Aboriginal languages, and we record in about 22 different languages.
Oh, wow.
And so
do you speak 22 different languages, or do you send you
no,
somebody?
No. There's an expert there. Although I've been learning quite a bit of Maruwanka, which is because Maru is like the people and Wanka is language. So, this is the language of the people, is that language. So it's funny because when I'm listening to the audio now, there's a couple of words when I think, oh, that's where the word message is, or talking is Maru Wanka.
Yeah, that's something I enjoyed a lot in high school when we were going through Latin, like learning like the Latin word roots of all the English words that we use, like the history of like how a word came to be. I always found fascinating. The etymology, I think, is the word, right?
That's right. Yeah. Actually, there's one of my favorite podcasts is the History of English podcast, which I think the guy started it in 2013 and thought he'd maybe get a year's worth of episodes out of it. And it's still going. And we've only just done Shakespeare.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. I love that.
English
podcast.
is such a crazy language. Like, I remember listening to someone talk about this concept, which, like, if you, the tweet actually kind of ties this up nicely that you were talking about earlier, like trying to sound like you're from the 980s. And if you actually saw what English looked like from that time period, you would not be able to read it. But
that's right. Yeah.
Other languages don't have nearly as much change.
They're much purer.
Yeah. They've been consistent for longer because I guess they don't have a history of being conquered like England had for centuries.
Well, do you know about Proto-Indo-European?
Proto-Indo-Europe? No.
Just about every language in Europe, apart from Finnish and Hungarian, come from the same language family. And
really?
They also relate to Sanskrit and the Hindi language in India. And they've all got the same roots. Yeah. And apparently I'm no historian here, but apparently it's to do with the development of the chariot. And the chariot meant that the people who had the chariots were able to spread their language far and wide.
Right. And you have to be able to speak their language in order to buy their chariots.
or you learn when those chariots are heading towards you, you learn their language pretty quickly.
You may not have a choice.
Yeah. I'll speak Proto-Indo-European. And but when they hit Europe and they hit the Carpathian Mountains, some of the chariot riders went north, and that's where the Germanic languages developed from, and some went south, and that's where the Greek and Latin languages developed from. And then these roots all again combined a couple of centuries later into what we now know as English and what we are speaking here.
That's crazy.
Apparently, okay.
Yeah. Fuck. Yeah, okay. I'm going to learn more about that.
Sorry. Anyway, we should be talking about investing, trading, anything. I don't know.
We'll just slap an after hours label on this and just talk
Okay,
about
we're
whatever we
after
like.
hours.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad I togged off for this episode.
Oh, right.
Hey, have we talked about Miss America?
No. When was the last time I even watched that?
Well, this is what I can't believe. It seems to have been something that's fallen off the cultural radar, so much so that the current Miss America only has 2,623 followers on Twitter. And
Wow.
she seems like a lovely person, and she's a nuclear engineering student. She's going to go into the nuclear industry. So
Good for her.
I think I'd like to start a movement where we support Grace. I don't know how to pronounce it. Stanky, who's Miss America 2023, nuclear engineering student, and let's all follow her because she's going to make a better future with nuclear power.
I am a big fan of nuclear power, as that is my background from the military.
Oh, really? Is that
yes.
so? You won nuclear-powered submarines or something?
Yep, I was electrician's mate, nuclear qualified. So got to run the power plant, do all the maintenance on the switch gears and motor generator sets and all that fun stuff.
Wow! And you've still only got one head?
Yeah. Actually, when you're underway, like we still have dosimeters that you use to like monitor your exposure, but you get significantly less radiation exposure underway than you do when you're in port.
Oh,
that's because the cosmic background radiation is so strong that with the ocean shielding you from that, like instead of like you get exposed to like 200 to 300 milliram or something like in a month. Outside and under the sub, like we were getting maybe 4 to 5 milliram.
Yeah.
So it's actually significantly less exposure.
Oh, and Eric talks negatively about the Navy.
I remember a new guy. We pulled into was it Hawaii, I think, for a port call, and we didn't get to spend much time there. We're just there to fix something. So we get like every shift got like 12 hours in port. We ended up spending our time at a little pool that we found. I don't even know whose pool it was, to be honest with you. I think we just found a pool and went and swam in it. But I came back and I was
you're the
sunburned.
Military. You could go wherever the fuck you want.
Right. But I got back to the boat. I was so sunburned, and this newer guy is a radioman. Call them coners because they're in the front of the boat, the cone of the ship. And he asked me if I got a little sun while I was out on port call. I was like, no. I got real serious and scared, and I looked at him. I said, no, they made me go do an emergency repair in the reactor. So does it look bad? I thought he was going to pass out.
Yeah, it was volunteer only, one of those operations, wasn't it?
Yeah, right.
We need a volunteer. We may not come back.
Oh, look at his face. Oh, is it bad? Gracie. Okay. So, yes, I am giving her a follow right now.
And if we can spread the word.
Oh, she's well, it depends. Are you talking about her profile or the Miss America one? Because Miss America itself is 69,000 followers or 67,000.
No, I'm talking about her personal following.
Oh, well,
yeah, Grace.
I gotta find that one.
STANKE, Miss America 2023.
That's actually the name of the escape hoods that you wear when you're trying to abandon a submarine in an emergency. It's a stanky hood you put on.
Maybe she's a joke. I've been fooled all along.
Well, I think Miss America kind of died off because wasn't like Trump like the biggest sponsor of that for the longest time? And
I thought he was Miss Universe.
Oh, I think you're right. Okay.
Was he Miss Universe?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be bigger. It's got to be the whole universe, not just Earth when it comes to Donald.
Yeah, that's pretty self-centered of us to assume that we're the center of the universe.
That's right. We need the beauties from Beetlejuice to come and compete as well.
Oh, God, I love that you know that star.
Well, it was a movie. I was just in my mind. I was reaching around for a star. Beetlejuice.
Yeah. Oh man. So
Sirius.
Yes, that's the North Star, isn't it?
The brightest star in the sky, I believe.
Which one's the North Star? Oh, that's Polaris.
Polaris. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I got a telescope one year for Christmas, and man, the joy of finding Jupiter for the first time and actually like seeing the moons. And I don't know if you saw, but actually we had the Northern Lights visible down here. Like we're in the middle of Illinois,
That far south. Wow.
It was supposedly visible all the way down to like Alabama. There was like a major solar
Wow.
storm about a month ago.
Yeah, no, didn't hear
I
about
stayed
that.
up to try to see it. I didn't see shit. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't stay up all
Too
night
much
though.
light pollution
I don't
or
know if it was that. Like it just looked brighter and to the north
Mhm.
than usual. I
Yeah.
didn't see any of the cool
Yeah.
greens or any of that stuff that I was, hoping to. But it could have been one of those scenarios where like you just get like flashes of it.
Yeah, that's
Like
right.
anytime they
Yeah.
talk about meteor showers,
Mm.
you go out looking like you're going to see a bunch of cool shit, and it's like a streak every 5 minutes. Like that's a good one.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, we get I think, do you get the Leonid showers? Is that in the Northern Hemisphere
I
as
know. I'm
well?
not sure.
Do we get the same meteor showers in the Southern
I don't
Hemisphere?
see why we wouldn't.
I
Would
think
we?
they might. Well, because we're pointing at different parts of the sky,
Um.
especially at different times of the year as
Yeah,
well.
that's true.
Any astronomers
I know,
listening,
right?
please?
Shit. I'm not going into that rabbit hole.
Yeah, they're a fast crowd.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Friends, family, and loved ones, I bet you haven't purchased a Father's Day gift yet, have you? Not to fear, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming are here. I'm talking about our friends at Manscaped. They're saving the day yet again with the total package for father figure in your life this year. It's time to upgrade his game from waist to face with this exclusive offer. Have him join the 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get 20% off and free shipping with the code 2bulls at manscaped.com. I'm supposed to tell a funny manscaping story or talk about how hairy my dad is, but I'm really not that close with my father. He does like a good beard trimmer, though. But for those of you who are familiar with your father's grooming routines, or lack thereof, then you can start with the ultimate Father's Day MVP, the Performance Package 4.0. Inside this package, he'll find their signature Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the brand new Weed Whacker 2.0 ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver, Ball Deodorant, Crop Reviver, Toner, and Performance Boxer Briefs, and a travel bag to hold all of his goodies. And we can't forget about the moneymaker. Manscaped has absolutely changed the game with their new Beard Hedger Pro Kit for fathers around the world. Included is the Beard Hedger Trimmer, Beard Shampoo and Conditioner, Beard Oil, Beard Balm, and 2 free gifts with their signature beard comb and scissors. This is the perfect gift for those of us who have had a normal childhood. And we all know dads love comfort. If his grooming routine is already dialed in, make sure to hook him up with Manscaped's Boxers 2.0. These are without a doubt the best boxers for men of all ages, and it's sure to give you that awkward moment we all love when your dad sees you bought him underwear for Father's Day. So whether he's mowing the lawn, taking out the trash, or golfing in the sun, these moisture-wicking boxers breathe without breaking a sweat. So get 20% off and free shipping with code 2bulls at manscaped.com. It's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code 2bulls. Make this Father's Day one you won't forget with manscaped.com. What else has been going on?
Well, I've been, I wouldn't say trading, but I have been working with a new, system's the wrong word, methodology, I guess you'd call it. On the Australian version of the podcast. Just to clarify, I've got Shares for Beginners, which is targeted at Australia, and then Stocks for Beginners, which is targeted to everywhere else in the world and the universe, hopefully.
Yeah, that's the one that's eating into our market share.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know we're such fierce competitors, obviously.
I know.
And yeah, anyway, there's been this guest. He's been on the podcast for a long time, Tony Kynaston, and he's got it's called QAV, Quality at Value. And I hate to call it a system. It's a methodology. I mean, he's not actually making money out of it because he's made so much money and he's just kind of semi-retired playing golf. He owns racehorses and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he wants to share what he's done. And one of his mates is a podcaster, and they started doing a podcast together where he's teaching his method. And it's basically to do with a value investing and fundamental analysis. And it's this long spreadsheet. I think there's about 20 columns in it, and it's weighting certain factors in the valuation of a company. And then there's a stop loss as well, like it's a 10%. If it drops 10%, you're just out straight away for risk management. Or if the stock is commodity based, if the commodity becomes a sell, then you sell out of the stock because, as commodity based businesses are always. Yeah, because they're always at the mercy of the underlying commodity affecting their share price. Anyway, so there's the full-blown version, and actually it's one of my affiliate marketing partners. And so a lot of listeners, and I've met some listeners who've listened to my podcast and then they've gone over to QAV because it's very sensible. And a lot of the people now are much better at spreadsheets than Tony ever was. So there's this community who are working on this spreadsheet.
Right.
But that's the full-blown version, the club version. But they've got a light version now as well. And because I don't have the time, between doing recordings, podcasting, and, just trying to keep bread on the table and the roof over our heads.
I know, right?
I don't have time to do the kind of research that's required to do this. So the light version means that they basically give you an email and say, okay, this is on the buy list, this is on the sell list, and you just start working it. And I didn't think it was going to be like trading, but it is a little bit like trading because the market's been a little bit up and down recently, and there've been a lot of stop losses triggered. So you've got to try and build up basically a portfolio of about 15 to 20 stocks, which you hold on to, and then slowly, we treat it like weeding the garden. If something's not going well, you take it out and replace it with something else until you end up with a portfolio of stocks that you're happy to do. So at the moment,
something Buffett talks about a lot. I think it was Buffett when he talks about weeding your portfolio out. Like so many people cut the roses and try to keep the weeds.
Yeah. So it's been really good to be able to work with this discipline. And I think we've only got 6 stocks in our portfolio at the moment because so many have become sells. But one of them, and one started running, and I think it's still up 60%.
Is it NVIDIA?
And no, it's a gold. It's an Aussie gold mine. They're all Aussie shares, although they are working. Okay. They are working on making a US-based version of this system, which hopefully we can introduce within the year as well, which is very interesting.
Oh, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Be interested. I don't know much about value investing or fundamental analysis. I've focused mostly on technical over the last 3 years.
Yes, yeah, that's right. There is one technical indicator that they used, and I may have mentioned this on the last time I was on the podcast, but it's basically, if I can describe something that's visual in words, it's a 5-year chart on a monthly time, not daily, not 5 minutes, but monthly, and basically you draw, like if the stock's gone down, you draw the line between the 2 highest points.
Yeah.
And when it crosses that line upward, that means, well, it's possibly a buy. And then the opposite as well on the sell side of things.
Yeah.
So, anyway, getting back to that.
Trend lines and support resistances.
Yeah.
You can do that on any time frame too, by the way. Markets are fractals, so those same patterns and those same support resistance, they become less strong the more dialed in to the time frame you become. Like a 5-minute trend line is not going to be nearly as strong as a monthly. But makes sense to...
Can you say fractal?
Fractal, yeah.
Can you say fractal again? Fractal.
That means that the same, when you look at a monthly chart and you see a pattern on there, you can zoom in on one candle and see the same patterns and see them play out and interact the same way.
I know. Markets are just like, what is that? That's chaos theory, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, what do they say?
Yeah, there was a book about the butterfly wings in the Amazon. Can start a hurricane in the Atlantic. And and that's the thing. It's like everything from the smallest, when you're looking at something at the smallest level to the greatest level, like algae's got the same structure as trees, for example. Anyway, we shouldn't get too much into that. We'll a little.
You had me
we're just enjoying chatting so much that
I was interested.
Anyway, but so yeah, I've been using that, but it's just been great to have that support and discipline. And I'm sorry, I was going to say with this one stock that ran, I think it's up 60%. It's sort of like, well, should we be selling? And the answer I got back is, well, why would you bench Michael Jordan?
Right.
And I think that's one of the things, and it's for traders as well. You've got to let your winners run. Is that the case with trading as well? That seems to be one of the...
Well, I think that new traders have a tendency to aim for home runs too much. And I went through this myself where they shoot for the fences, they shoot for the stars, they don't pay themselves. And then you end up getting what's called upstuck, where you were up $300 and then it comes back down to $200 in profit. And then you thought, in your head, you're thinking, I'm down 100. Then you don't want to sell because you had 300 and you want to get that back. So you tell yourself, oh, I'll sell it when it gets back to 300. And then what ends up happening is it goes back up there and you don't sell it because why would you sell it? It's going up. Eventually, you end up turning what is a nice win into usually a full loss because it just ends up reversing on you and you refuse to take profit because you're constantly thinking about what you could have had, not what you can get now.
Yeah. And that's part of it is the psychology, isn't it?
Yes, and
Mm,
that's what most of trading is about, is just understanding who you are, your tendencies, and how to work with them
mm,
and minimize your weaknesses.
hmm. So would you use a trailing stop loss in that situation?
What I like to do with when I have a good trade and I get a good entry, I take off at certain risk to reward ratios.
Mm,
So if my
mm,
stop is like on a stock, if it was a $5 stop, then I'd want my first take profit to be somewhere around 2 to 1. So $10 profit.
hmm.
I'll get paid there. Then I'll go to break even on my the rest of my position. And I'll let a small piece of that run, like a third, to see if I can
Mm,
get more out of it. And then I like to trail the stops manually, looking at support resistances along the move as it moves up.
hmm.
So when you look at those pullbacks, when it kind of comes off from those peaks, you can just stick your stop, a couple points below that, just to give you a little room in case it slips as it gets close to it. But in theory, if it's going to continue running, then you should be holding those as support for the next move up, the continuation moves.
Mm. So are you using that because I've seen these formulas that you can find on anywhere on the internet is about
Mm-hmm.
the risk reward ratio.
Yeah.
So you work out, okay, I'm gonna if I get in this price, if it goes down, I don't know, 5%, I'm out. But if it goes up 20%, I'm out. And so you use it as a statistical kind of
Right.
tool to
Exactly.
yeah.
This is all about trying to get as many hits as you can. Right.
Mm. And I think Eric was talking about 40% as kind of the success rate that most people would be looking for.
For your trades to work out, yeah, 40% is a
Yeah,
sustainable.
the number out of the number of trains. Yeah, yeah, trades.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. If you win 40% of your trades and you use if you have good risk reward principles, you should be able to make a fortune with,
yeah, yeah.
with that if it's sustainable. it's it's the aspect that most people don't think about or consider when they're thinking about how to make more money in the stock market, is how to lose less.
Mm, mm,
That's something that George was really good at stressing when we first talked to him.
mm,
George from Trade Pro Academy, he's since
mhm,
retired, but that was something he was a big proponent of. You can either make more money or you can lose less money.
mm, mm.
Those are your two paths to increasing your profitability.
Yeah, yeah. It's good to have it distilled into that kind of few words, isn't it?
Yeah, but I know it's tough.
It is.
It's
It
tough
is. Yeah, to
to do
implement.
it consistently,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And that's it. I mean, that's why people like Eric are so valuable to have around to be able to talk to that sort of thing. And also by using this QAV system that I'm using, I just sort of
Hmm.
I just go, okay, I'm just all in here. And this is not my whole portfolio. And this is the other important thing is you don't put your whole portfolio into something to try out.
Oh no.
You've got your long term ETFs, dividend reinvestment, blah blah.
Yep.
And you try it out with some, but just to try this out and I really have taken the emotion out of it, I feel now, because
Really.
it's about trust. And I really trust
Hmm.
Tony Kynaston because, first of all, he's not doing this to make any money. He's just doing it because, there's only so much time you can spend golfing and playing with your
Yeah. Right.
racehorses.
Yeah.
And
Plus, you want to feel like you're doing something, meaningful,
yeah,
helping people,
yeah, that's right.
achieve financial freedom is one hell of a goal.
And it's just also, like I mentioned, is that so many of my listeners have gone over to him and to
Hmm.
use the system. And, they're kind of so thankful to me that they really feel like that there's a structure to their investing. And I know it's not trading as you like to look at it, but it's,
No, that's
mm,
just good guidance. I think it sounds like for people who want to be a little more active in their investing.
mm,
Call it active investing, I think, is the term I like to use.
yeah. Although it's funny, because now I'm so disciplined in following it. Like I might be recording someone in Cantonese, for example, and I see an email
Hmm.
come through with a sell on there, and I'm kind of like, well, I'm on my phone trying to sell the stock. Get the six-digit code, enter the six-digit code.
Right, right.
Is it a market order or is it a limit order? Yeah, that was a good take. Yeah, just do that little bit again. We need the
Yeah,
URL
right.
again. Sell, sell, sell.
I have to close my charts whenever I do interviews, so I'm not tempted to start trading futures because goddamn futures market's open
Yeah,
24/7.
but I think you wanted to talk about trust because you've got trust issues, don't you?
I think we all do, don't we?
No, I think we have issues with undue trust in certain people.
Yeah, yeah. I think what you'd mentioned was you're talking about fund managers before we hit the recording button here. I thought that would be a fantastic conversation because you had an experience. I'll let you tell that, so I'm not stepping over you.
Well, trust. I think trust is one of those things that we rely on too much. And I'm just going to refer to a couple of guests here. One was a psychologist, and his name is Stanley Teitelbaum, and a retired psychologist. And his two things, well, he's got many, many, many great lessons being a psychologist, but the first one being cut your losses, cut your losses, cut your losses. And also how to
risk
lose.
Management.
Yeah, risk management, and how to lose, and how people end up trusting people too long. And then that sort of brought me around to Gary Brode, who's another great Twitter contributor, and he's become a semi-regular on my podcast, Gary_Brode on Twitter. And he's talking about the funds management industry and the financial planning industry. And this is from a thread that he posted today about fund managers who take thousands of meetings a year, read countless investment letters, and follow industry trends. Then many of them throw that work away and invest where other allocators are investing. Their goal isn't to get you the best returns. It's to avoid being wrong alone. They think it's okay for them to lose your money as long as they do it in a brand name fund where others are invested. And
right.
That's part
that's interesting.
Yeah. And again, we come back to that thing about mutual funds. So we call them managed funds here. So I might be flipping between the two, and the way people invest, and then the way financial planners will be helping you to invest. Now, some financial planners are great, and they can help you curate some great stocks to be in and great investments.
Yep.
But others are just they're there for is to take your phone call when the market's going down, and you to say to them, "Well, just hang in there. The market will improve. The market always improves." Rather than having anything to do with actively managing the money.
The ones I've talked to, some of the ones I've talked to said their main goal is to keep you from doing something stupid.
I know. Yeah.
And I think that's what they want. They want you to just stay calm. It's the long haul. Don't make rash decisions just because the market's going down today. If you've got 20 years on your horizon, then you don't need to be selling out now.
But then there's many opportunities that you miss because you'll remain fully invested through these periods.
Right.
And not be able to take advantage of getting in when the market is down to turbocharge your returns.
But you made a great point that you can't be wrong alone.
Yes. Well, that's Gary. That's Gary's point. Yeah.
Well, it makes perfect sense, especially in the world of finance and the stock markets, where you're going to be wrong. It's just the nature of the game. The goal is to have good risk controls, though, so that way, when you're wrong, it doesn't bankrupt you.
But it's hard for these fundies as well. We call them fundies here in Australia, fund managers. And
that sounds like a fun term.
But it's so difficult for them. First of all, they can only invest in a limited universe of stocks because of their mandates. They can't get into anything small because they've just got too much money to invest.
Right.
And, so they would just, if they tried to get a smaller stock, they would just blow the price out of the water because they've just got too much bulk of money.
Completely destroy it when they try to sell it.
Yeah. But then that sort of brought me to thinking about trust and my poor experience with a stockbroker who I was with for 10 years until I started making this podcast and understanding more about the industry. I mean, I can't believe that I started this podcast and I didn't even know what an ETF was. And this stockbroker, he was just enabling my stupidity and idiocy and just thinking, I can just pick a stock and I'll make money out of it. Let's buy this,
Right.
I mean, if only he had just done some basic education with me and said, well, look, let's put, 80% of your money in a long-term ETF or an index fund, and then, we'll play around on the sides. But no, because he is making money out of my brokerage, and every time I traded, he had no incentive whatsoever to do that. And I just sort of look back at that and I think, I got taken out to some nice lunches, and I just think, what an idiot.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get put in touch with them? Like, was it a friend's recommendation
I
or
found them.
some other
I
way?
found them myself. I mean, it's one of those stories. Oh, this stockbroking firm has been around for 130 years, and they're solid and they're conservative.
Right, right.
Falling for the marketing, that old marketing shtick.
Well, I mean, when you talk about trust, what I was thinking of was like how often we get money advice from people who aren't qualified to give it to us.
Oh, okay,
Like
yeah.
how many
Mm-hmm.
like there's a lot of people that when they get a financial planner, they go to their friends for recommendations, but their friends don't know any more than they do.
Mm.
Just, do you like the guy? Yeah, okay, I'll trust him.
Mm-hmm.
That's the amount of research that people do.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of insane to me.
Mm.
But I mean, it just speaks to our ignorance. I mean, like I wasn't too far removed from making mistakes like that. Like
Yeah.
probably not, probably much more recent than 15 years in my case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's I think this is one of the areas that robo advice, which is a terrible name, by the way. It's really just
Hmm.
online investment advice is really the term, but that kind of is meaningless. I think they've got to work out a marketing with a marketing team what the best term is. However, you can now go and just punch in a few figures about yourself and what you like and your stage in life and all of that, and it'll spit out a low cost portfolio for you.
Hmm.
And it's again, it's like you like someone. I went through this exercise with my mother late last year, where her financial planner, who she's been with for years, she loves him. He's a lovely man. He comes around and talks to her and tells her what he's been doing. And
Hmm.
he retired, and so it went to another financial planner where they had to reissue all of the details about the investments. But more importantly,
Hmm.
is the cost of managing those investments. And now that, of course, armed with a bit more knowledge, I would say to him, well, how can we get the costs down? And while we would have liked to have taken it away and maybe, managed ourselves, that would never
Right.
have flown with my mother. We were able to negotiate, because when you've got a financial planner, there's 3 sets of fees that are involved here in Australia. I mean, it's most probably going to be something very similar in the States. But we were able to reduce the fees of each of those levels to the state where it was like 2% a year previously, for being invested in
Ooh,
quite high risk investments, I might add.
that's massive.
Yeah. Whereas now it's under
Wow.
1%. And, at least they look after a lot of things that, we don't have to worry about,
Right.
like the social security or the pension that she gets and things like that. Anyway, but again, that's the story about trust. Oh, and the point about robo advice is that I was able in this situation to have a company who have sponsored my podcast and have been on the podcast, a robo advice company. They give free appraisals of portfolios. And so they were able to help me to arm myself in terms of what I needed to talk to with the financial advisor.
Hmm.
And again, this is where the trust comes into it, doesn't it? Is that people aren't lucky like us, so we can talk to experts in the investment field to help us out this way.
Right. Right.
And again, they fall back onto that trust thing where they trust someone, or they think this is a nice guy, or this person dresses beautifully, I'll go with them. And
Hmm.
I think it's just really, with the plethora of podcasts and YouTube videos and blogs and so forth about investing, if you're interested, I know not everyone's interested, you can't be interested all the time, but you would presume that people who are listening to our podcast are mildly interested in this space,
Right.
that
Right.
they
Right.
can educate themselves so they don't have to lean on blind trust.
One of the coolest things I think somebody told us, and we're talking about how to pick a good financial planner, like some of the things, red flags to watch out for.
Mm.
The number one thing he said was how happy their secretary is, or the person that greets you, the receptionist.
Mm.
Does she look like she's enjoying her job, or does she hate it there? And then also, if Mad Money's playing on the screens, then you definitely don't want to go there.
Well, again, that episode I had with Stanley Teitelbaum, he had a list of questions to ask your financial advisor. And yeah, it's a great list of questions. I can share that with you and listeners if you'd like as well.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Remind me
Put you on the
to
spot
do
right
that.
now. Right now. No, okay. What was the name of the episode?
Well, there's 2 it's the first one with Teitelbaum. Anyway, I can send you the blog post.
Yeah, if you send me that, then I'll get it in the episode description so people can check it out.
Yeah.
Getting up to the end here. You got
Yeah.
anything else we should
Um,
touch on before we wrap up?
Perhaps we should talk about that negative Apple Podcasts review, because I know we're at the end of this episode. We're going to ask people to like and review and everything. And first of all, did you realize how hard it is to leave a review on Apple Podcasts?
Oh my God, it's such a pain in the ass. I ask all my guests to leave a review,
Yeah,
and then they're like, "How do I do that?" And I'm like, "Fuck, I don't know how to tell you that."
That's terrible. I didn't know until a couple of weeks ago, and then I was trying to work it out, because when you have a negative review, of course you...
Wait, you got a negative review, or we did?
No, I got a negative review, and it was, first of all, I had someone who was selling a trading system, Simon Ree. You might be interested in him on the podcast, but the listener was very miffed that I was promoting something like trading to beginner investors. And I understand that point, but I think that people just need to be introduced more to all of the availability and the whole way of that the markets work. It's like why I talk about fixed income so much, which I think might bore people, but I find it fascinating that there's this whole other market out there that nobody even hears about, which is 10 times larger or more than equity markets and has so much influence on it.
Right?
Just even being aware of that is very valuable information.
Well, and then the other thing I would say to that is something that Eric talks about a lot. Why limit yourself? Like, learn. I mean, there may be some things that maybe you want to incorporate in the way that you pick your investments.
That's right.
Just maybe
because
learn a little technical analysis so you can get some better entries or be better informed about when to exit.
That's right, because I'm not. I don't subscribe to the religious wars between fundamental and technical analysis.
Me neither. I think there's a place for both.
There's a place for both, and it's really interesting and fascinating to talk about. And I think Eric was talking about candles as well. And like, there's a whole discipline of candles, and then there's a whole discipline of patterns, and it's just. I mean, I know people think of it like reading the tea leaves, and it's not going to predict anything in the future, but it is such a great way to visualize the market. It just takes everything out of it, and just even being able to look at a chart and say, oh, this stock is in a downtrend. It hasn't reversed yet. Don't buy. Whereas when you first come into the market, you're thinking, oh, this stock's down 50%. It must be a buy.
Right. Yeah. It's got to go back up. Right.
Yeah, it's got to go back.
It's just there.
Yeah.
One of the most fascinating things that I think learning in my journey was just how much emotions actually drive markets. Like the emotional aspect of it. The markets run on emotions. That's just how it works.
It is. It's emotion. Well, it's emotions, but a lot of the weight of the big money. I was talking to a guest a couple of weeks ago about this, because there was one particular stock that I had a holding in, and it came up with an earnings upgrade, and it was a cracker of an earnings upgrade. And as we're talking about it in a situation like this, the market opened, and we said, okay, it's going to be up a huge amount today. And we looked at it, and it was flat. It hadn't moved an inch. And I don't think that was psychology. I think in that particular case, first of all,
the expectations.
The expectations, there was an expectation that was going to be coming, because it was a steel stock. So any idiot can see that the price of steel had been going up for a long time, even though and it had since reversed in that time as well. So there was anyone who was holding it, they might say, okay, we're going to hold on for a little while, but they're not going to buy any new positions in it, because they know that the price of the steel, the underlying commodity that we spoke about before, was going down. And so you can see that it isn't just psychology, but even knowing that kind of information, rather than being the idiot goes, oh, it's had a really good earnings upgrade. Let's go and buy it.
I was just talking to my mom the other day. She was asking me if I thought the markets were going to crash. She talked to the guy who used to manage her money, and he said he had moved all his stuff out of the markets because the crash is coming, and somebody else is telling her that. And I said, the more people that tell you the markets are going to crash, the less likely it is to happen. Because if everybody's already sold, who's left to sell? Once you sell, you're a buyer now. Once you buy, you're a seller. Because that's where your money is. That's the next thing you have to do. And that's how those earnings reports like that. Everyone gets excited about something where they think it's going to blow out. They all buy it beforehand. There's no one left to buy it. Who's going to buy it now? Everyone already did.
Although there's a couple of people that I really respect who see a debt default crisis on the way. There's just too much debt. Interest rates have gone up too fast. And there's going to be a lot of corporate debt that is going to be unsustainable. And we're going to see the mother of all debt crises coming up, which will affect, again, this is the fixed income market having such a profound effect on equity markets. And we only saw a small case of that a few weeks ago with the Silicon Valley Bank Corp situation, you know.
Yep.
But there's only so many banks that can be bailed out.
Right, especially at that size.
The US government just doesn't have that amount of dosh. And Jamie Dimon,
Right.
you know, he might want to acquire all of them, but, you know, he's not going to be able to afford get all of them, let's face it, you know.
I hope not.
Yeah.
Last thing we need is JP Morgan running the country.
Well, don't they already?
I mean,
isn't there a nexus
I guess
between
at least they're not
Wall
HSBC.
Street and investment banks and the US government and Treasury? And I enjoyed your conversation about Janet Yellen because it's true. It's just, I mean, what are you people doing over there? Who are your elected officials?
We've got easily 5 more days than she said in the worst case scenario by my calculations. I don't care. Get it done.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Also, I don't understand how that whole budget thing works either. Like, you planned the budget. Didn't you already know what you were going to spend? Why wasn't the debt limit raised then? Or is this all the overages?
Yeah, I don't know. But I think the idea that there's going to be a crisis coming if the debt limit is not passed by June 1st, I think that's a bit...
Oh, God, yeah. I think there's definite weight to that, but I can't imagine.
No, I don't think there is. I don't think there is weight to that at all. I mean, I'm just a little guy here in Sydney, but, you know, let me give you my expert view on this.
I'm saying if they don't pass it, there could be some major problems. But
I don't think so. I don't think there would be even major problems if they didn't pass it.
No?
I beg to differ, Kyle.
Why is that?
Well, this is what I'm reading, again on FinTwit, is that the US government is receiving about $300 billion a month in taxes. The debt is something like the interest on the debt is $60 to $70 billion a month. So the debt can still be paid. They can slow down government a bit for a while and work out what they're doing. And to me, it seems like what they're arguing about is a slowdown in the rate of increase in government expenditure over 10 years. It's not like they're asking, was it Kevin McCarthy is asking for wholesale cuts in government budgets. It seems like, no, well, let's just slow down the pace of increase of government spending. And I know there's a political divide here as well, and you know, I don't want to get into that.
As long as we rag on both sides equally, that's I think we can maintain our bipartisanship.
Well, that's right.
Just you have to make fun of everybody.
That's right. Yeah, equal opportunity fun making.
Exactly. No, that's a good point, because I do remember that being buried in that whole thing that Janet was talking about. It was like, yeah, we might be in trouble come June, but if we can make it through June, then there's incomes coming in July. Basically, the U.S. is paycheck to paycheck right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Like the rest of the constituents.
But still, I mean, the US government has got $30 trillion in debt and a $1 trillion budget deficit. I mean... They're just sort of...
But we also just print money, too, so I don't know how that fucking works either.
Well, that's how they create money. That's where money is created. You got to get some fixed income people on the podcast. It's so interesting to find out about how this works, you know?
I am afraid to dive into... I don't know if I need another thing to...
Another rabbit hole
to fall into. Yes, exactly. I got to do an options deep dive next still.
Yeah. Oh, they're so fascinating, options, you know.
Oh, man, yeah. The option to lose money quickly.
The history of options, even just the history of options, going back to, you know, the ancient Greeks and options over crops, you know, it's... Well,
wait, really?
They're actually more like futures contracts and options. But to me, they seem to be very close. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being an idiot again here. But it's just the idea that a farmer might have a crop coming and a speculator will come in from the big city and say, well, look, here's... you know, what was the ancient Roman coin, denarii or something. Here's 500 denarii for your crop that I will take delivery of. And that speculator thinks, you know, I can see a shortage coming up at harvest time.
Right.
And the farmer gets certainty. They're happy about it. They might be missing out some income. But so the idea of options and futures contracts go back a long, long way.
Well, that's interesting because that's kind of the whole point of futures, isn't it? Or wasn't that like the original purpose of like our futures market was for the people who own their businesses to be able to have cost certainty and be able to sell their things into the future?
Well, I think it's the Chicago Board of Exchange's actual reason for existence there in Illinois.
Right. Yep, up in Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I've stood in front of the bull.
Oh, have you? I must come over.
Strong testicles.
Must come over there. I haven't. Speaking of which, I was with your manscaping promo code. I tried the promo code. I tried the promo code and didn't work. What is it again?
Wait, what? 2 bulls? Not 2 balls. 2
balls. Balls. Oh, that was my mistake.
Yeah. B-U-L-L.
I don't know. I was just thinking manscaping. It just seemed to fit in there.
Oh man, their products are really good. I was so surprised. I thought for sure it was going to be kind of a lark, but I actually really enjoy the stuff they sent me.
Should we wind this up because I need to get back to my broker now because we've closed a position. Now we need to work out what we're going to open.
That's exciting. All right, folks. Well, unfortunately, we have come to the end of our time with Phil, but it's okay. You can check out one of his many beginner podcasts, or you can check out his website, sharesforbeginners.com. Make sure we have all those links in the episode description. Be back soon with another exciting episode, but in the meantime, pretend this is Thunderdome and your rating will determine which bull leaves. And I'd also like to end this episode in the traditional Aussie farewell. Fuck off, you.
But you were also going to say, don't forget to rate and review the podcast and like and share because we need your help. If you like what you're listening, if you're still listening at this point, you must have gotten something out of it.
I hope so.
Am I wrong?
Either that or you're a glutton for punishment.
That's right. And we were going to talk about the Nutbush as well, but I don't know. But Tina Turner, R.I.P. Tina Turner,
gives us a reason to do it again.
Yeah, that's right. R.I.P. Tina Turner and Nutbush City Limits. Not many people in the States know, but you can see the dance on Twitter. It's almost Australia's national dance. So there's many sad. I know you say Aussies, it's Aussies. Aussies.
Yeah.
Aussies. No, not Aussies.
Now, is Nutbush have anything to do with Nutella?
No, nothing at all. I think it's just the little town that Anime Bullock, who became Tina Turner, came from.
Oh, I didn't know she was Aussie. Are you fucking with me? You dick.
Sydney, Alabama.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. All right, I think that's a good spot to end this.
Two Bulls in a China Shop is an entertainment program, and all thoughts and opinions expressed in the show belong to the hosts and not of any company. They are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide entertainment about stocks in the financial industry of trading. If you make trades based on what you hear in this show, you assume all risks for those trades.